Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Ali. I'm product designer on the configure section. And today we'll be, for design pairing, we'll be discussing the GitLab built-in Kubernetes dashboard design. So just a recap of our problem. So the first part is I want insights into a cluster around the status of my deployments, tailed logs, overall metrics, so that I can troubleshoot a deployment from a review environment all the way to production. And as an application operator, I want to follow how a deployment is being rolled out, rolled back, see the related metrics and beyond if my intervention is required, so I can deploy often and with confidence. And some of the tasks that we identified, the first one, I want to be confident about the status of a recent deployment, and I want to be able to follow how it's rolled out. One that we got from our research, I want to know when the environment changes. So people want to be alerted when the environment changes. I want to have a quick overview of the systems I own to either start my regular job or to look at potential problems. And I want to reach the logs and metrics and traces easily from a list of reported resources. And I want to see the metrics driving the rollout of an active Canary deployment. So just a recap of the design. I wasn't able to
I guess I just lost Ali. That's not good. Okay, let's wait a bit to see if you can join.
Hey, I totally forgot to get off my backup power, and so it all of a sudden it switched off during the call. Um, yeah. Um, I guess I'll start from the top. Um, so so the idea here is that users will navigate from the main GitLab page, and then they will find the Kubernetes dashboard here under a list of dashboards. And then from there, this is
You are not sharing the screen.
Ah,
That stopped as you were done.
sure. So from the top, so the idea is that from anywhere in the product, a user would be able to navigate to this top navigation here, and they will find a item here for called a Kubernetes dashboard, and that'll be where they will find the dashboard, and then from there they will be taken to a page like this, where they are shown a list of all the agents that they have access to and permission to access to. I mean to access, and then depending on the agent that they select, a dashboard is going to be populated with all the resources that are associated with that particular agent. And
all the resources that they can extract that associated with that particular agent.
Yes, 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 all the resources, more importantly, that they can access. And from here, there'll be so at the top here we have okay, we have an overview and we have the agent ID, and we also have its connection status. And then we also have a filtering section where they'll be able to filter all the projects that are associated with the agent, and then all the environments. And then the idea here is that if they want to switch to another agent, they are able to do that easily. And then this will be an overview of their resources. So we have pods, deployments, daemon sets, replica sets, nodes, namespaces, services, and jobs. And then in this intersection below, we have CPU and memory usage. And then for these two, the placeholders for now is network bandwidth and network errors. But I think when we do validation, I think we'll ask more specific questions around what else can we show besides. From the research, users said they wanted to see CPU and memory usage, but since we'll be leveraging Grafana, it would be nice to know what else users would want to see. So this is what the filter is supposed to look like if you click on any of the drop downs. So the idea is that you will see the group name, and then inside there you can select any project that you want to see, that you want to select. And the idea here is that you also have the ability to multi-select. I don't know if we should introduce something to select at the group level, and then all of a sudden, and then you have access to,
like to select the group itself instead of projects. You mean?
Yes.
I think that would make sense, actually.
Mm-hmm.
This could make sense. So it as all these filters except for the agent, so the project and environment filters would likely translate to labels in the cluster. We could have a group label as well, and then users can select those. Are
there any? I know you had some feedback around this, but I guess we can get to it after I just go through everything.
I'm just thinking a bit more here. We might run through our customers that like, and the customers might not know what actually they want here. That's it's a bit like, so we have this idea that environments are the right terminology to speak about environments. So but today the environment concept built into GitLab is pretty weak. As a result, many users might not find them valuable, and they even if they use environment to represent something, they would rather things in terms of project and groups even, and then they would say that I want the production environment in that project. But actually, if we would have a better environment resource, they might just say that I want the production environment X and not the product. So it's what I'm thinking about whether. So today, project plus environment makes tremendous sense. But once we have a better environment resource and the environments really define cluster resources themselves, what we are discussing in that merge request that we looked at earlier today, then actually simply picking an environment will mean quite a few, we'll set up the filters.
Okay. It sets up the group and project filters.
Yeah, exactly. And even some more. So that's really up to the environment definition, what it sets up. And I just realized this now as we speak, that's the direction we want to take, that environment should be a first-class citizen around GitLab.
Okay.
And it might happen that you still want to call your environment name at this level, like it should include the project name, but in the end, you are still just setting up, you are just picking an environment and not many other things. I'm not 100% sure about the best approach here. I just realized it now as we speak, that that might be better to just speak about environments.
Yeah, no, I think once we're at a stage where we're confident, we can do some more validation with users, particularly those that use Kubernetes often.
But anyway, then, I had one more comment there that I think is important.
Sure.
It's the filtering field itself. I think for the agent, it's great because the agent is pre-select the connection itself that we want to use. But for every other filter, including projects and environments, I think it would be better to have more of a freehand search text box where I can start typing environment, then I get, so it's like this, I think, is not flexible enough, what we have now. And I don't know if we have the necessary front-end components for it, because it's pretty elaborate, I think. But
yeah,
I think the best would be something that Kibana has.
Yeah, I think our best bet is something like something like we have today.
Yeah, exactly. That's my issue.
That's our filtering. That's why I did look at this during the design. But then I know that people aren't so this is not everyone's favorite way of searching.
For good reason. Like what Kibana adds on top of that, I think that could be, we don't have a component for it, but we could build, is that you can have these. So do you know the Kibana UI? Yeah, you do, because you told me that you don't.
No, I don't. But then I'm gonna I noted here. I'm gonna check it out.
I can try to quickly find one. Useful image. No. this would be it, but it doesn't really show well what I want to show. Yeah, these two will be good ones. Okay. 1 and 2. May I take over the screen sharing?
Yep.
We put these apps and whiteboards in the middle, and it's totally useless. So basically, with Kibana, you have this top search bar here, and this is just a search bar. But under that, you have these kind of like tags,
yes.
And I think these tags would be what we need. And to write such a filter, what it is, you hit this add filter basically. And then you select a field. In our case, that could be environment. And then you have a drop down. We don't need operator. We don't need that level of complexity here, I think, because our only operator for the environment would be that multi-select environment, and that's it. But like this add extra overlay here, and then you can pick your fields and the value, and you can only have environment, for example, or project. And how it shows up is this, it separates from the main query field, as you can see. And I think this combination works really well, because then the user can still say here that, okay, give me pods or give me something more, and or we can just make a on the front end filtering of stuff without going down to the cluster here.
Yeah, I really like this concept. Yeah.
Or even just having these add filter items, and then we can add kind as well, for example, here, like show me on deployments. Okay, this was what I wanted to share. I will post these 2 links in the agenda doc for you. Okay, we can move on.
Sorry, I just trying to text. So the next part is so in our dashboard is the workloads. So the first section is pods. So I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the ones that we need to provide like the most like up-to-date and recent information and possibly alerts on, is it mainly the workloads?
I think so. Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
Okay. Yeah. So for each of the workloads, we'll have an overview. So depending on how, if it's a big organization, you don't want to go down the table.
Yeah.
And also additionally, these will also act as filters. So if you click on running, it should filter all the running pods and pending. And then for if you want to see more detail about the pod, so the idea is that like if you click on a particular pod, you will see more detail, mainly a description here. So this will all depend on what the information the resource has, and then logs and metrics. I haven't designed yet. I just wanted to, maybe we could discuss how we want these and then this section here is if that resource allows you to shell into it, you can do that here. And then the idea here with the edit YAML was that it would open something in the repo, or open the repo here, and once you've made a edit, it would do a merge request. But I think you had some feedback around that.
Yeah, around the edit YAML, especially that it's I'm not sure whether it's doable. The reason for that is that like you don't like, let's take a pod. A pod doesn't have a YAML. A pod is described in a deployment that might have a YAML, but even that deployment could have been deployed with a Helm chart, for example, and then your repo might not have anything at all, just a simple values YAML that configures that Helm chart. That creates the deployment, that creates the pod.
Sure.
So, and then tracking this back to that values YAML, I find it mostly impossible. So this is, so I think we don't need an edit YAML for this reason. It just doesn't have much. What would be possible with an edit YAML is that we directly write to the cluster. So because actually the cluster, in a sense, stores that YAML as well. And we have two things. One is definitely we could have a view YAML, which is already quite useful often for debugging to see what it actually contains. And we can have a view YAML for everything, for config maps, for secrets, for everything. And then we could have an edit YAML, but that wouldn't open the repository. It would act directly on the cluster.
Okay. And are there specific resources that we want that on, or is it going to be?
That's for everything. That's for everything.
Okay.
It's more with the edit YAML. The topic is more whether our users would not want it.
Okay.
Because if you use GitOps, then basically Git should be your single source of truth.
Cool. Yeah.
And then you don't want to edit YAML. So that's more the question there. But even in that case, you want to view the YAML for debugging.
Sure. And then, so with deployments as well, there's a starts off with a summary section. We have failed and ready deployments, and then a list of them.
Here, actually, not just here, but yeah, even for the pods, if we have a failed deployment, it might make sense to have a state, an error message within easy reach.
And okay, within the table, similar to what you showed me with Weaveworks.
Yeah, perhaps within the table even, yeah.
And would these type of error messages be also the type that
I'm not sure whether it makes sense to add it to the table, but definitely to this detailed view.
Okay.
We have to think about it a bit more whether it makes sense to add to the table.
Yeah. So something else that I saw in the other dashboards is some of them would have any events.
Yes. Oh, good. Yeah, we need that. Yes.
Okay. So yes. Is that where that a message like that would be? Is it?
No.
Okay.
The events are about the changes often. So like an event happened is that the pod initialized, pod started, the pod is ready. So these are the events. If the pod failed, the event likely contains the message for the failure. But you want it like the logs, you want it as a stream of events to be able to see what's going on there.
Okay. So I guess it should probably fit in here in the description.
I think we should add somewhere around the status actually.
Okay, and then probably we should have something to indicate that there's a error message that somebody should have.
I think if you have a failed pod, people will figure it out that they should get to details and there is the message.
Makes sense. Okay. So the other section is the stateful sets. And also similar to deployments, it will also have a failed and ready. It'll indicate the failed and ready ones.
We can move on. I think these are
similar
to
with
deployment.
replicas. Daemon sets and right up to cron job. And then next up we have services. So in terms of services, is this what we want to show? Is there anything additional that we would want to show here?
I think this is great.
Okay.
Immediately, I don't have any other ideas there. I think this is great.
Okay, cool. So in terms of the items that we'll show in the table for services, I think you had some feedback around having an environment.
Let's put it aside for now, because what we discussed with the environment thing.
Okay.
And I realized as well that all of these resources might belong to several environments, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's put that aside.
Okay. So we have name here, namespace, the status. So this is for services, cluster IP, external IP ports, age, and then I had a project column. Would that be relevant? You think for services?
I don't know. Now with both for the project and the environment, I am hesitant to say either yes or no there. I will have to think more about that. On the other hand, services don't have a status.
Okay.
You can't really fail a service. It might happen that you can't commit it and the cluster doesn't take it in, but you can't have anything like that. The service that is never failed.
Okay. And so if it's got something to do with like a core networking issue or anything like that, that doesn't affect the status.
It doesn't have a status.
Okay.
So it might be that some IP range that's not available or something like that. I have never seen anything like that, so I don't think so. But you can ask the engineers.
Okay. And then ingresses. So I guess what I want to know is like the columns that I'm using for ingresses. Are they enough? So
no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna speak to one approach that I saw on some of the dashboards was that like you could actually build your own table. So it's either you can select you want to see everything, or you select parts of what you want to see based on the view that you want to populate for any particular resource.
Yeah, I think that's good. But we still need some defaults for most of these. For ingresses, I think we would need some defaults. But that's good that we have this column selector, and then we can specify the defaults even later. I think we don't have to discuss services and ingresses and most of these resources right now. Actually, we can skip those as well. Yeah, first we can skip those.
Storage is okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's okay. And yeah.
Configs.
Yeah. I wanted to speak about the custom resources.
Okay.
Oh yeah, two things. Just realized. I want to speak about two things, not just custom resources. One, and I'm taking notes of this, I think we would need a dedicated menu/views for the Flux objects.
Okay.
Customization, Git, or the source object. And objects, at least. But we can have even more like notifications on. So I think that's one thing that we would need. So that shouldn't be only under custom resources, but like even I might even put it around namespaces before Airbag for sure.
I think I've seen something similar in Lens. I think they have a dedicated something for Helm.
For Helm, yeah, they have it for Helm. That might make sense as well, actually, but it's less important for us, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but for Flux, that would be important because that's what likely our users would use, and then having able to have quick overview of the status of the Flux resources would be important. And then custom resources. Custom resources need two levels. First is actually, you kind of have the two levels, because one level is the list of custom resources that you have, example 1, example 2. And then when you pick one of those, you show the list of resources that use that custom resource definition. Does it make sense to you?
Okay.
It's like,
so
if let me give a very contrived example here. Let's say that your custom resource is a car. That's your custom resource definition. So you list in the menu, you say cars. But then when you click on it, you get different types of cars in the list being there. I don't know, whatever you can imagine, like. And then you can click on those items on a specific car, like my Kia here, and then you get details of that specific resource.
Okay.
So and that's how you should think about these custom resources, just like all the other elements like pods are actually counted as resource. And here you define your custom resource, a car, and then you can have many cars, but then you want details of those cars and so on.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So I just need to answer this.
Okay.
Yes. Just opening the gate. Just give me 2 seconds. Back. Yeah, I think I saw a similar structure on Lens, but I just didn't understand why all the custom resources were nested. But now that you explained it, it makes sense.
Okay, and I tried to take a note of this as well. And for that reason, these are custom resources. When you select the resource type car or a different resource type, I don't know, bread or whatever city, then the list view is actually pretty restricted because the tool doesn't know anything about, doesn't know much about these resources.
Yeah.
And they always have a namespace. They might not namespace. They always have a name. They might have a namespace. They always have an age, but they might not have anything else. So that's why even if you look at length on a list of custom resources, not the resource types, the definitions, but the resources themselves, those views are pretty simple.
Yeah.
And that's what they can do. And then you can click in them to get the details view, but typically they just give you a YAML bump that this is everything that we know about them.
Yeah.
And I think this is good for us as well. And then we would create, actually the Flux resources are custom resources in the Kubernetes terms, but we would create dedicated views for those custom resource types.
Okay. And the things that we want to visualize, is it the default things that Flux creates in your repo?
You mean what want to visualize for Flux? No, not just defaults.
Yes. Okay.
Not just defaults. Like I tried to take a note of that in our agenda. I will even add some links to it, perhaps.
And I guess for that, we'll just have to use the Flux logo.
Might be. Yeah.
So you're saying you, in addition to the Flux, we want also for customization and Helm.
No.
Okay.
These are Flux specific objects.
Okay.
Yeah. We might have a separate for Helm, that is Helm, but for the Kubernetes customization object doesn't exist in the cluster action. It's more like a configuration tool that instantiates a set of YAML files for one specific environment. And then only that specific environment YAML exists in the cluster, not the customization file itself.
So is it the same thing? Because I think I was confusing it with customize. Is it the same?
No, it's not the same. Okay. That's why I mean that Flux customizations are different than what typically people call customization.
Okay.
They're very similar in nature, but they are different.
So yeah, this is the iteration of the dashboard. I guess if we have time, we can quickly go through some of the feedback. But I see we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
But I think
I think we discussed most of my feedback at least.
Yeah. There was some feedback from designers. So I mean, some of the feedback we got was like, if there's too many agents here and a user wants to concentrate on a select few, can they have the ability to like dismiss them?
My understanding was that this dismissal is about this stop message, this monitor your infrastructure message.
Okay.
First, that was my understanding of the message.
Okay. Yeah, no. This is okay. Cool. This is meant to be a dismissed message, but I just didn't have a way of tweeting it because I was using Shop Lo-Fi components. And then I guess how did the user get here? I tried to highlight that in the video by showing where the user would access the dashboard and how they would see this particular view. Okay, I guess I just need to explain that.
Yeah.
And the other feedback. yeah, you shared your feedback around the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I just need to read up on the drawer guidelines, but I think we might have to customize ours for configure.
Yeah,
Especially if we're gonna
seen that.
if we're gonna add a events tab for some of the resources. Okay. Give me feedback on that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think you gave me your feedback on all the other sections. So I think yeah, I will work on the next iteration, and then once we finalize it, then we can move on to validation.
Yeah, we could definitely show it first internally to our infrastructure team members.
Yes.
And then move on even to show it to the external users.
So that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for.
Oh yeah, there was a longer comment on Airbag. I just realized that.
Yes.
Yeah. If needed, we can discuss it next time.
Okay. Okay. I'll go through it and then I'll see if how it affects the RBAC.